Housing and Residence Life. I just want to do a quick video for all of you eligible to participate in our room lottery starting March 19th with just some quick tips and tricks to make room selection as easy as possible for you. So first and foremost, I'm sure you all have seen some emails coming from IT about something called Duo. I'll pull it up on the screen really fast here. So starting Monday, March 19th, Eastern starting this dual authentication solution called Duo. So that's going to impact you in terms of selecting your housing, because as part of the login process for the housing application, you're going to have to dual authenticate with this dual system. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend the week you come back from spring break, so the week of March 2nd, is to look at this page. You can see the URL right here and get yourself set up for Duo if you haven't already. If you don't do this, you'll be prompted to get the system set up starting March 9th automatically when you try to log into the housing system. This may take a little bit of time, so that's why I'm just recommending students take care of this in advance of room selection week. If you're already a student staff, you already have this taken care of, so the majority of students probably will have this done. So just make sure you have it ready to go before you go in and pick your room. If you have any problems with this, we've been advised to send students to the IT help desk, so feel free to reach out to IT at any point in time if you have questions about this. Their contact information is right here, and again, you can go to this webpage specifically for information on Duo. Let me go ahead and close this page out here. So when it comes to your lottery date and time, I recommend that students have two different screens open on whatever web browser you prefer. So have the housing application portal open on one, and then I would have the housing website open on another, open to the upper class students page with all of the options. This will help you move through room selection faster because there are the complex plans on all of these individual pages, which will help you figure out what rooms are suites with others in a faster manner. So once you log in to the website for the housing portal, you'll scroll down obviously and log in with the CAS SSO provider. So starting when we have the Duo, once you click this button, this will route you out to sign in with your Net ID, and then that will dual authenticate with that Duo system I was just explaining. And then once you authenticate with that, that'll bring you back into the housing application portal. So I would log in with my Net ID, it would route me out to Duo, and then bring me back in. I am not doing that right now though. Because I want to show you my test user. So when you log in, you will see that we've got your time slot information here. So obviously my time slot is now, so I can show you this demonstration. You will have your time slot for sometime the week of March 9th. So this will be the same time slot you'll see in your lottery email that will go out the week of March 2nd. Your email will say this, but I'm going to say it again here, and it says it here. Please don't try to access the housing application before your lottery date and time. We have seen some weird errors in the past when students tried to go in and access pages they don't have access to. Just don't do that. We don't want to have any weird errors or have you not be able to sign up for housing just because you tried to get in early. So just avoid that. When your lottery date and time comes, you can click on the housing applications up here and reopen the 2021 housing application. When you reopen the housing application during room selection, the majority of you will land on this location selection page. The location selection page shows you all of the different complexes or areas that you can pick to live from. Okay, so if for some reason you didn't get to this page, or maybe let's say you made your prepayment and then you ended your application, so let's say you filled out to like here and then logged out and didn't complete these pages, you have to complete all of these pages first in order to get to the room selection page. So if you're not here yet and you're stuck back here, yes, you have to complete all these pages in order to get here. So if you haven't done that, you're going to have to do that before you're able to pick the room. If you're here already, awesome. For my test user, you can see I've got lots of different options. The only ones you don't see on this page right now are best and downing. This test user is set up as just an upperclassman student who is not in the Honors College and who does not have a 3.3 or higher. So I see all of the traditional residence halls, the village, and our apartments options. So what I'm going to go through is show you some tips and tricks to make your room selection go as easy as possible, and some things that we tend to see students have a little bit of struggle with, so it should make your process a little bit easier. So the first thing you definitely want to notice on this room selection page is what's on these cards. We simplified some of the language on these to make it a little more clear what we want you to pay attention to on these location selection cards. The first thing you'll notice is you'll see that we've got some bolded language here, closed and open. You'll see that on all of these it says whether a hall is closed or open during scheduled universities breaks. This is super important to pay attention to. If you need housing or a place to stay when the university is closed during the major break, so the period between fall and winter semesters is the big one, right? So if you definitely need a place to stay during that, you need to select a space that remains open during scheduled university breaks. Another one is one we just went through, spring break. If you know you're going to need a place to stay when spring break is going on, you need to select a location that stays open. All of these halls list whether they're closed or open during these breaks, so make sure you pay attention to that first and foremost. The second thing that's listed on these cards are where and if this location has any living, learning, or theme communities in them. So if you know you want to live in the Global Village, you're a member of that community, you'll see, oh yeah, that's in the house. You know you can automatically select that location. And that should make it a little bit easier for you to filter these locations from the get-go. I'm going to go through these examples in a little bit of a traditional manner just because it's a little bit easier to explain them this way. So I'm going to approach these in the way of a traditional residence hall, and then I'm going to do Wise because of the community bathrooms, and then I'm going to go to the village and then the apartment options. So feel free to fast forward this video as needed to get to whatever part you need so you can see how I explain the setup and selection of these different areas. So Downing, Best, Walton, Sellers, all those areas are set up as traditional residence halls, same with Pittman and Hoyt in terms of selecting those locations. They're traditional style, whether they're singles or doubles. They look very similar on the cards, so I'm just going to pick one of those spaces so we can look at those. So once you select your location, you're going to go to an available spaces list. And you can pretty much do everything you need from this available spaces list without going back to the location list because we've got these filters on the side, and you'll see me transition from there. On here, you'll see we've got the different rooms, and on this page, it'll list 15 at a time. You scroll down, you'll see there's multiple pages. You can go back if you want to review what spaces are open or closed during breaks if you'd like. I typically like to just change my filter, my complex filter from here, but you do whatever is best for you. You can also filter by communities or room type here as well. So for any of our traditional residence halls, the setup and explanation of what's going to be on these cards is very similar. So on all of our cards, you're going to see a picture of the space, what space it is, a little picture of a bed, and then this explanation will be the same. So our little bed picture here, the number in the bed means how many people per room. So we've got 2 people, 2 beds per room. This is a two-person room, so we've got 2 spaces open out of 2 in this double space. All right, so Hoyt 103 is a double, and there's 2 beds in the room, so 2 twin beds, and then no one has signed up for this space, so there's 2 bed spaces out of those 2 open. The gender designation for this space is female, which is why I'm seeing it. My test user is a female. Obviously, if my tester is a male, it would see male. You will also see some spaces that are set as dynamic gender, which means we haven't set the gender on the back side, but whoever signs up for it first will designate it, and then it becomes a designated gender space on the back side. See, this one's a double, and then this one here, we've got the one bed space. So this one is a single, so it's saying one bed space out of one is open. This is a single space. If you're looking for a single, obviously you're going to look for 1 out of 1 for single bed spaces. If you're in a group of 2, you're going to look for, and you're looking for a double, you're going to look for anything that has a 2 out of 2 open, and obviously a double. I know some of you are in groups of 2 that are looking for singles though. So what do I do in those? You have the ability to add multiple spaces to your cart, and that's where this upper class student page comes in handy. So if we're in Hoyt, I'm going to come over here to Hoyt, and we've got some complex plans. So here, third paragraph down, wondering where your room is, review the complex plan. So I had that the first floor open here. So let me go back to my available spaces list here. So we've got some singles here. So we've got 112, 13, 14, so I've got some singles open. If I look at this plan and I know I'm in a group of 2, I know 11, 12, 13, 14, those are suites. So if I was in a group of 2 and I wanted to be a suite mate with my group member, I would add 13 and 14 to my cart. And then I would be able to assign myself to one side of the room and then my group member to the other side. Now, if me and my group member wanted a double, I'm just looking for 2 spaces out of 2 open in a double. I would just add that one bed space, this one card to my cart, and then I would be able to assign us both to those 2 bed spaces open in that single side of that room. So again, all the traditional residence halls, Walton, Sellers, Best, Downing, Pittman, all of those look like this. Now I'm going to go over to the Village, because the Village looks a little bit different. Alright, so again, that's where these complex plans come in really helpful. So I'm going to open up Village here.
DTE believes that the energy we all use doesn't have to contribute to climate change. That's why within the next 10 years we will triple renewables and cut carbon emissions in half.
Alright, so in general, well, this is what the Village looks like. So the Village is the 4 bedrooms, right? Shared everything else. And depending on what you're looking at, these could be 4 singles or 3 doubles in a single. So a building is all singles. So if you're in a group of 4 or group of 3 or group of 2, what you're looking at is you need to select the number of spaces that equals the number that you have in your group. So if I have a group of 4, I can see here that I've got A201. I would be looking for A, B, C, and D. Well, A is missing. A is not here. It's not up here. So if I had a group of 4, this would not work for me. So I would need to look for 4 spaces. And I may have to look at a different building or selecting multiple buildings here. Pick a different building here. Let's see. Now, if I was looking for doubles, you can see here that D104, we've got 2 out of 2, 2 out of 2, 2 out of 2, 1 out of 1. So this whole suite of 7, 2, 4, 6, 7 is open. So I could, if I had a larger group of 6 or 7 people, or even 3 or 4, and we wanted a combination of singles and doubles, I could select as many of these as I needed to accommodate my group by adding what I wanted to the cart, and then assigning my group as needed. Now WISE, because of the community bathroom setup, will only have double spaces like this. So if I have a group of 3, not going to work. If I'm by myself, well, I can assign myself here, but I'm not going to see a single space here. They're only going to be doubles. So just keep that in mind. If you have a group of 3 or more, it's not going to work for you in WISE. The last thing that I want to point out group-wise and selection-wise that does trip people up is when you pick in Cornell and Westview, because they are very similar. It's just like the Village. Because they are apartment style, like the Village, you have to look for the bedrooms. So if I'm in a group of 2 and I'm looking for a 2-bedroom apartment, I need to look for listings that are in 2. So Cornell Courts A106 here, it's 1, 2. I know that both bedrooms in this 2-bedroom are open. So I can then add each side to my cart, and then I could assign myself to the one side and my roommate to the other side. If I'm in a group of 2 and I only see A106 listed once, and it's a 2-bedroom, then I know someone is in the other side. One way to check that is if you go to show room info, you can see that there would be another person listed in the information here. I would highly recommend that before you add anything to your cart to look at the room info, just to make sure that the whole suite or the whole apartment or anything you're looking at is empty. So by clicking on the room info, you can see, yep, this whole apartment is empty. I'm good here. I can go ahead and select this one. And I think that's a good trick to do for anywhere, even in the residence halls. You can always see who's in spaces. So for example, here, this is a 2-bedroom, 1 space out of 2 is already taken. It's not, so you can see that, someone is already there. That's super helpful. All right. So one thing that also does seem to trip people up sometimes is with our living learning theme communities. If you did not select an LLTC preference back here, you will not see it in the list. So let's say, let me go back to all right, so let's say I wanted to be in arts. Well, and then you can see I selected the arts down there on the communities filter. It tells me there isn't any. Well, that's not true. There are definitely tons of spaces in arts. The reason I'm not seeing them is I didn't put myself in the arts community back here. So sometimes what you'll need to do is go back here and select the arts community, and then this will populate. Whereas I did put myself in the spectrum community. So if I add myself back here, because I am in the spectrum community, I can see the spectrum community. So just a little thing to remember, if you're looking for a specific living, learning, or theme community, you must have selected that back here. And you can always go back and double check that by clicking on those links in the navigation part. All right, so when you are ready, my test user is not in a group or anything, so I'm just going to go through and select a space as a single student. Put myself in Pittman here. All right, and I know that I can only afford a double, so I'm going to go ahead and put myself into a double space. I like Pittman, so I'm going to put myself in Pittman. I want to be on the first floor, so I'm going to decide on this space here. So once you have decided on where you want to live, you're going to go ahead and put the space in your cart. And once you have the space in your cart, you're going to scroll down to the bottom of the page and hit Save and Continue. The next page is going to be your assigned beds. And if you're by yourself, you're going to see your name and then the number of beds in the space. If you're in a group, you'll have your group leader obviously at the top, and then all the other people in your group will be listed just like this, and you'll be able to assign all the people in your group to a bed. Alright, so because I put myself in a double and no one else is in the space, I have the option of assigning myself to either of these bed spaces in this double. If someone was already in the space, it would only give me one option. Pretty simple. Do note this error here. Like if there's an error on this page and you're having problems because of the group, it's not going to let you move on. So make sure that if you're getting errors on this page, it probably has to do with your group size. You're going to need to go back and make sure you have the correct number of options in your cart to accommodate your group. So once you've picked your bed, your little picture populates, and then you'll hit the Assign Bed. Confirmation page will just basically saying, hey, you sure you want to do this? Obviously yes. You want to hit reserve the space. And what the reserve the space is actually doing is creating your booking on the backside in our database. And the next page you'll hit has to do with your meal plans. So depending on what you book, it will populate a page of what type of meal plan options you'll have. So because I picked a traditional residence hall, I'm going to see traditional residence hall meal plan options. If I picked the apartments or the village, I will see the apartments or village meal plan options to select from. So on this page, definitely make sure you read through that, what your options are, the cost per semester, and then from the drop down, I can pick what meal plan I want for fall 2020. Okay, and then hit Save and Continue. The next page has to do with your flex amount. So on your option there, again, it lists what swipe amounts you have, and it does remind you what swipe amount you picked on your last page. I picked that 3 per day, so I picked that 3 per day. $100 is the base amount, the price, and then you can elect to pick more if you'd like, and then you can pick whatever you want, and then Save and Continue. And then the next 2 pages have to do with renter's insurance. So this is just a reminder that the university is not liable for your property while you are here on campus. So if anything were to happen to your belongings, let's say there was a fire, there was a flood, whether it was your fault or not, we are not liable for your personal property. So we always encourage students to carry renter's insurance on their stuff that they bring to campus. This is just one option that you can look into, so we offer it through our housing application. So to move past this page, you will click Continue to indicate your renter's insurance preference. And this will route you out to the GradGuard site. And then you can read about their options, you can provide them information, they can contact you later, they can contact your guardians. There's lots of different options for you. Just since this is my test user, I'm going to decline coverage so I don't mess with their numbers. And then it will route you back into the housing application no matter if you decline, ask them to contact you later, purchase, whatever. And then you can click Save and Continue. And then the application status page is the last page you'll be on. This is when you're officially done. You'll see it says application complete, and everything on this page is what you have done. So you'll see that you've got your meal plan information. You'll see that I signed up for the Flex 100, 3 per day. I booked that Pittman double, where it's at. And then you'll see this is my room information here. So this is where I was booked at. And then this information here, if I booked a roommate or a suite mate or anything like that, you'll see their information here where they were booked at. This is also a really good resource for you to come back to throughout the summer if you don't know who you were living with. As people sign up for these open spaces, their information will also populate here, so you can learn more about them through View Profile. You can send them messages. We will also refer people back to this page typically in August so they can see who their suite mates are or their roommates are for planning purposes before they come to campus for move-in. If you are assigned to a space by a group leader, we ask that you come back into the housing application sometime after your lottery date and time, the week of March 9th, to complete your meal plan pages, the GradGuard pages, and get to this application status page. It's super important that you complete your application by the end of that week. We ask that you get it done by Friday, that Friday at 5. We'll try to send some reminder emails out that week as well, but please try to stay on top of that if you can. If you have any questions about room selection at your lottery time, don't know where to place yourself, are just unsure of the process, feel free to stop by the housing application or housing office at any time. We are fully staffed that week and invite students to come down. You can bring your laptop, you can sign in at the computers at our office, and we're more than happy to walk through the selection process with you and talk about open spaces, talk about where they are, look at floor plans with you. We understand that some of you haven't done this process before or are unfamiliar with the complexes, and that's really our area of expertise. So we're more than happy to talk you through this process and help you find the best room option for you or you and your friends as possible for the next academic year. So feel free to come down and visit us at your lottery date and time. You're also more than welcome to call us or to shoot us an email, and we can help do that online or over the phone with you as well. If you have any questions before room selection starts on March 9th, feel free to reach out and talk to us. Again, you can always stop into their office during business hours as well and talk to our staff. We hope that this video helps you and helps take some stress off doing room selection for you. And again, feel free to stop by and talk to us if you have any questions, and best of luck picking your space for fall.